Hello everyone, and of course, welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat video on the channel. Seeing as, well, we didn't quite get the reveal of Mortal Kombat 12 this week, I thought that it would only be appropriate to give us a double whammy episode in my Reboot series. Because, let's face it, we're all suffering. Please, Mr. Boone, give us something. But on a more serious note, we definitely have quite a whopper of an episode today, and someone who I'm genuinely very excited to talk about, as he is a fan favorite, and most certainly my personal favorite character of the 3D trilogy, the blind swordsman and successor to the legendary blade Sento, Kenshi Takahashi. And man, has this guy made quite the impact since his debut, capturing the pure essence of the 3D era. From his stellar design to unique moveset, it's downright criminal just how underutilized Kenshi is as a character. He's the living, breathing epitome of lost potential in the 3D era. Hell, even with his return in the rebooted canon, he was still heavily underutilized, with the bag then being fumbled with Mortal Kombat 11, as both he and Takeda were mysteriously left out. But with Mortal Kombat 12 on the horizon, I will sacrifice my first child for you, Ed. Today, I not only wanted to explore the Takahashi bloodline, including this mysterious and elusive ancestor, but I also wanted to touch on Sento itself. Because I do believe that now, with us being set in the Great Kung Lao era, we have the potential and possibility to better explore their family and the concepts and ideas that have been laid out here. Now, of course, before we do kick things off, I do want to say thank you for all of the love and support that this series has. It's been nothing but fun and extremely interesting since kicking it all off. Also, a heads up to newcomers, hello, welcome. Quick disclaimer before we do start, this video is all for funsies. Nothing is set in stone, because currently, NetherRealm is yet to clarify on what ending is truly canonical. I've taken the job upon myself to theorize what characters could be present in the Great Kung Lao era, as well as what ideas and concepts currently sit on the cutting room floor regarding their legacy, as it will allow us to pull ideas that do exist in their world. And as always, before we do begin, if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to subscribe, as well as tick that bell, keeping you up to date with all things Mortal Kombat related, from news to lore. And hey, if you like this video and the series, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Anywho, with all that out the way, let's jump right into things. Typically, during this series, whilst I previously have focused them around the character's origin, with what defining factors sculpt their fate, I believe that both Kenshi and Sento are intrinsically tied to each other. Because if you really think about it, Sento itself is actually a weapon that predates Kenshi far down the Takahashi line. So in today's video, whilst I will be touching on Kenshi, we will heavily be focusing on Sento and go back as far as possible to theorize who this mysterious individual might be, and how does it tie into Sento as a weapon, as I have a sneaking suspicion and theory, everyone tinfoil hat time, that there's something far more sinister behind the blade that is yet to be explored. Now, both Kenshi and Sento were introduced all the way back in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, having been tricked by the sorcerer Shang Tsung into acquiring the hidden blade, but ultimately at the cost of his own sight. With an astonishing design, fantastic origin, and just damn overall cool concept, Kenshi became a rising fan favorite, widely regarded as one of, if not the best character to have come out of this era. However, his popularity would not enable him a mainline role during the conquest modes of future games, being largely relegated to a mere side character and roster role. Upon the reset of the timeline, Kenshi does return from the dead, appearing as DLC for Mortal Kombat 9, and later appearing on the main base roster for Mortal Kombat X, where he would be accompanied by his son, Takeda, the newest addition to their infamous bloodline. But again, despite their popularity, the pair were excluded for reasons that are still yet currently unknown, raising the question of where are they now and what happened to them upon the reset. Well, sadly, these questions are never answered. With these Takahashis out the way, we can now focus on its newest addition to the family. The identity of this individual is still currently unknown, as the only portrait or knowledge of her we do have was sealed in the Sky Temple, being a young slender woman with a red headband covering her eyes, and of course, wielding Sento. Now, the reason why this is both interesting and contradicts what we have previously known of the Takahashi line is that, historically, the blade has fallen into the hands of warrior kings. Something which he understandably doesn't quite fall into the latter of. So it raises the question of how this all came to be. Well, that's where this all gets rather problematic, because due to the scarce nature of this royal line, we don't truly know what happened to them and, well, their riches. But seeing as Kenshi had no recollection of his heritage, at least until obtaining Sento, it would be strange for such a powerful weapon to fall into the hands of a stranger. Thus, I think that this individual may have been a wife or a daughter of someone in the line before the royal bloodline fell. Because again, going back to Kenshi, we know that he isn't drowning in wealth. He's a wandering warrior, so this wielder of Sento may have been the very last one in Kenshi's line before she sealed it in the well. And if this so is the case, the next question is, what exactly led to their downfall? Infighting? A blood feud against another family? Or maybe a kingdom? It's honestly so hard to say, but it's questions that we must ask about what we currently know of Kenshi and his family. But the questions don't quite end there. You see, there is still this allure of mystery that really surrounds Sento, and if I'm honest, it seems to be something that plagues this bloodline, being intertwined with it, despite the large gap between generations. Now, Sento is an extremely unique weapon. In fact, it's one of the very few weapons in the series to actually be branded with a name, and that's largely due to its own sentience as a weapon, housing souls in order to fight for their descendants. So it is supernatural in nature, despite its rather simplistic appearance. But one thing can't be denied, and that is how the blade always falls into a Takahashi's hands. And I think there's something quite sinister about that, because in each and every generation, the Takahashi line nearly go blind, with Kenshi not being the only exception here, as Takeda himself nearly went blind during MKX until Jackie interfered. And with this new individual being introduced, there's a trend here that simply cannot be ignored. Could I be overthinking this? Absolutely. I don't have a shadow of a doubt about that. But personally, I think that the seeds have been planted that Sento may in fact be a cursed blade, as it's the only common denominator in this equation. Now, this idea does strongly lean into the variation system of Mortal Kombat X, where we have 3 different variations for Kenshi: balanced, possessed, and Kenjutsu, with Kenjutsu being the more heavily combat-focused one, and balanced being focused around channeling his ancestral line with his telekinesis. But possessed is where things get interesting. Due to the lack of knowledge surrounding Kenshi's ancestry, it can be believed that not everyone in the sword is quite so good of heart, as maybe one was a ruthless warlord. But I do think there is more to it than just this, because when we look at the possessed variation itself, Every special move refers to this particular ancestor as a demon. Hell, it even takes on a form of itself that is completely different from what we see in Balanced. And one of the key changes in Sento is that the blade is cracked. Broken, if you would. Possibly implying that whatever seal that was on the sword is now broken, unleashing what is contained inside it. If this so is to be true, then maybe Sento is not of Earthrealm origin, but instead that of the Netherrealm. And historically, every demon we've ever encountered has derived from it, with Quan Chi and Serena being perfect example of demons that maintain a plain and mortal physical appearance. Now, rationally, allow me to frame it like this. It's an incredibly powerful blade, one that possesses both magical and demonic properties. And it grants the wielder incredible strength and power in exchange for their sight, as well as their afterlife, as their soul is imprisoned to the blade upon their demise. So, with these ideas laid out here, Sento seems like a classic case of making a deal with the devil in exchange for power and wealth. And who's to say the demon we see him possessed isn't the one that forged it, as it is still, to this very day, never given a name. Again, if we're dialing back the clock, we could learn more, not only about this individual, but how Sento came to be. Maybe one of the first Takahashis made a deal with a demon in exchange for money and strength, and in turn offered up his own lineage and their sight for such a weapon. It is very possible, because Mortal Kombat isn't exactly lost to the ideas of the occult and dark magic. Now, please do keep in mind, this is all an idea at best. These are simply concepts that both Midway and Netherrealm have scattered across the lore. I'm simply piecing them together and applying my logic and knowledge of the universe to what we have here. But now, with this new era having settled in and a new timeline at our fingertips, I think it's the perfect opportunity and time to explore the ancestry of Kenshi. He's a beloved character, and I really think there's some good potential here to flourish out a very intriguing story. With that said, everyone, what do you think about this idea? And most importantly, would you much prefer to explore this new, hidden, and mysterious character? Or do you believe we should explore the origin and creator of Sento itself? As I'm simply intrigued how both of these characters' actions and influence has affected the rest of the line. Please do comments down below. So now, as always, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting as we all desperately await the reveal of Mortal Kombat 12. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon.